Now, after failing to gain a majority in the Pakistan Senate, the country's Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has gone ahead and said that Prime Minister Imran Khan would be seeking a vote of confidence from the parliament. This decision comes after the Pakistani Tehreek-e-Insaf candidate Abdul Hasib Sheikh has gone ahead and lost the Senate's general seat from Islamabad to the People's Party candidate Yusuf Raza Gilani. Remember, he's also the former Prime Minister of Pakistan back in 2008. Meanwhile, Khan's party members have claimed that the vote of confidence is to show Khan's political opponents that he still had the confidence of the parliament and it was the sign of a brave man. Retrospectively, the call by Imran Khan to take confidence vote could also end up his career. He survives. If he does, he will be weaker than he currently is, and that's with or without the support of the establishment. Imran Khan is now playing a slippery slope, and where does the vote of confidence take him will be in the time to come. On Saturday, in fact, that confidence vote is going to be played out in the Senate. Joining me on the broadcast at this point of time, Ambassador Deepak Vora. First comments from you, sir. These are recent developments that have taken place. There is going to be a vote of confidence that is going to take place as per the request that has been made by Imran Khan. If he gets out this time around, it is going to be the end of career for him. Ambassador Vora, if you can hear me.
Here? Oh, you live there?
Yes.
All right, we'll take a short break because there seems to be an audio issue with regards to my guests who have joined me on the broadcast at this point of time. Come back. All right, so it is a slippery slope for Imran Khan Niazi, who is the Pakistani Prime Minister, a puppet Prime Minister at the hands of the ISI. Will the ISI be able to save him from this confidence vote that he has gone ahead and very daringly demanded from the speaker over there? Joining me on the broadcast, Ambassador Deepak Vora. Saturday is going to be the confidence vote. Imran Khan could sink or swim. Sink perhaps more likely.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to interact with you, to learn from you and from Ms. Basu, whose knowledge of our region is unrivaled. What ails Pakistan and Mr. Niazi, viewing everything through the prism of Kashmir? This growing extremism in his country is fueled by a narrow vision of Pakistan's national identity, threatening the country's prospect for social cohesion and stability. Pakistan looks like a war-ravaged skeleton of a state that is not even trying to put itself back together. Look at the challenges: poverty, illiteracy, energy, corruption, political instability, Chinese interference, terrorism, overpopulation, inflation, unemployment, economic crisis. Mr. Niazi is a tragic hero with one fatal flaw: imbecility combined with delusions of grandeur. His Kashmir psychosis, ma'am, reminds me of the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. He suffered from bipolar disorder, appearing in an obsessive-compulsive way at a certain time for a non-existent tea party, forgetting that he was getting old. This guy thought that cricketing fame would make the people of Pakistan follow him blindly. With no choice, they voted him in with encouragement from the military, sad commentary on the state of Pakistan's political leadership. But Tweedledum is no better than Tweedledee. In his 2 years, mark this, every development parameter in Pakistan has deteriorated. His Naya Pakistan is an obscene joke without roti, kapda or makan. Ma'am, he is the fall guy. And as you rightly predicted, he is going to be booted out very soon. I rest my case.
That's a very beautiful, peculiar analogy, but extremely apt. We've gone ahead and made with the Mad Hatter and Alice in Wonderland, and now the puppet Prime Minister is compared to that and his current situation. But Joyita, coming over here with regards to the kind of attacks that the current government had been making on the opposition, and how they were acting allegedly as a hindrance to the development and the greatness of Pakistan. Ironically, every single one of those stances and attacks have obviously fallen flat, keeping in mind that Yusuf Raza Gilani has won from the Islamabad Senate seat.
Megha, you see, when we are looking at the particular situation, I think it's also a result of Imran Khan's overconfidence. I mean, his overconfidence and his disconnect from what actually grassroots politics or whatever of it survives in Pakistan, it survives. Let's not forget it. I mean, with the blessings of the army, and it says that, you know, this particular democratic movement, People's Democratic Movement, that PDM, which is now being where Nawaz Sharif's party and the Bhuttos, the Zardari's party, they have come together, PPP and PMLN. So these people are hardcore politicians, and however the politics exists in Pakistan, they have some kind of grassroots connect. In fact, one of the reasons this particular crisis has started is because it's being said that Imran Khan's inability to accommodate grassroots sentiments in his government. What has happened is, you see, the Senate vote that took place, in which Mr. Imran Khan's candidate, the finance minister, lost, and that other gentleman who is a PPP leader who became who won that seat. It happened because, you see, in spite of Imran Khan having the numbers with his alliance partners, he could not, I mean, in terms of call it floor management, call it willing dealing, whatever, he failed miserably. And it is being said one of the reasons he failed miserably is because he has surrounded himself with certain unelected people who have no idea about how politics is played on the ground. And because of the way Imran Khan has been functioning, his own people, his own allies turned against him and they voted against him. So you see, and obviously, considering it is Pakistan, we have to always also look in terms of what kind of a role the military could have possibly played in this. What kind of a role is the military playing in helping the opposition to be together? Or there's another way of looking at it is, you see, whether the opposition is also trying to put pressure on the military, saying that your blessings do not matter anymore Imran Khan will have to go sooner or later. So this is a very interesting tussle that is going on in Pakistan. But yes, frankly, I think Imran Khan is a pawn in this, and sooner or later he will have to go.
Dr. Waiel Awwad, if Imran Khan, or I might say it's a matter of time when he is ousted from the very powerful or the lack of power position that he's going ahead and holding, who's going to be the next puppet at the hands of ISI and, more importantly, China?
Well, I think the political instability in Pakistan become a kind of a plague that it has been affecting the country for so many years, and it has also landed the Pakistan in the direct foreign intervention in its political setup. So therefore, we can see lots of candidates in this. Maybe Nawaz Sharif could be one of the front-running candidates for that, because he has a good rapport with the public, and he also could be the political instability within Pakistan create more of a civilian disobedience. That is what the worrisome of that's the game plan maybe of the army. That's to keep the Pakistani people politically unstable, especially when it comes to civilian government, where the army will definitely step in, like what happened in Myanmar, and could be taking over back to Nawaz Sharif time or Zulfikar time, what you call it, Ziaul Haq time. So therefore, there are big chances of Pakistan falling back into the army, rather than, because the street of Pakistan cannot afford a political instability with the economic downfalling.
Ambassador Vora, you know, the report card of Imran Khan is obviously not going to do any justice to him in front of the eyes of China. I remember back in the day, 2019 is when, 2018, you know, the signals were already there. I remember personally going ahead and holding those debates. There were a number of times Imran Khan had flown down to China to meet his counterpart. The Chinese definitely not holding any sort of confidence. And then there was a sort of a parley that happened between Bajwa and the Chinese authorities. And Bajwa was then again asked to accompany them. That happened back in 2018, 2019, beginning of the year. And from there has been a debacle after debacle. The most recent one, the FATF grey list, where Pakistan continues to stand inside it. Let's talk about Kashmir. That has been a foregone conclusion, and Imran Khan definitely not gaining any sort of brownie points over there as well. We talk about Citizenship Amendment Act. Pakistan has obviously gone ahead and picked up this issue time and again, tirades after tirades, internationally in the UN bodies and in other nations, but to no effect whatsoever. Keeping in mind also parallelly that the domestic politics and domestic development and welfare is not going in the way that the PTI government would have wanted to garner people's support. And although it had gone ahead and in Gilgit-Baltistan suppressed every single of those voices of the opposition and the locals to win those elections, you see the proof of the pudding is in eating it, and that's exactly what has happened in Islamabad Senate.
Absolutely. There's nothing that I can add to this brilliant analysis that you've given, that Professor Awwad did and Ms. Basu. You referred to the year 2019. There was a Gallup poll suggesting that spiraling inflation and unemployment were the biggest problems haunting the people of Pakistan, and not the Kashmir issue, in all 4 provinces of that cash-strapped country. The study said 53% of the respondents believe the country's economy, especially increasing inflation, was the biggest problem facing it. And while the Pakistan government tried its best to internationalize Kashmir, ma'am, notice only 8% of the people voiced their concern over the issue. May I write, therefore, Imran Khan Niazi's obituary? Here lies the man who was unable to become the prime minister, who put his country's bugbear, its terrorism-enamored army, back into the barracks and thus prevent the destruction of his nation. He made his nation even more food insecure and water scarce. He was unable to save his country from becoming a Chinese colony. Ask the Tibetans or the Uyghurs, it is not a pleasant experience. Now asked colonize Pakistan. He took Pakistan's national passport to the bottom of the Henley Passport Index, along with the passports of Somalia, Afghanistan, and Iran. The Arabs consider Pakistan a joke. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation treats it with disdain. The United States tolerates its rantings only because it has no choice. So finally, Imran Khan Niazi did the only good thing in his life. He went away. I rest my case.
He went away in future tense. That's an obit that is right there, verbatim, on the spot.
I have it ready, and I'll give it to them free of cost.
A brilliant one, and then enjoy that.
Ma'am, may I just?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to add one more thing. When I visit a library and ask for a book on Pakistan's economy, I'm told to look in the fiction section. Perhaps in a few years, when my son wants to read about a country called Pakistan, he would have to go to the history section.
All right, yeah. If that's how it's going to be in the future tense. But Joyita, you know, let's look at the brass tacks at this point of time. Would it be in advantage of India to have military rule, military establishment taking control? We went ahead and saw that the foreign minister going ahead and calling it a sorrowful day in democracy when the demand for confidence vote in the parliament was brought about by the PTI government and especially the Prime Minister. How would India go ahead and tackle it, keeping in mind the recent, on your face, at least what is looking on the facade, looks like a positive outcome in terms of the ceasefire that has been agreed between both nations. And also on the northern frontier, we have the line of actual control, and China also going ahead and playing on the back foot.
Well, Megha, having a country ruled by the military, by the army, right on our border does not serve our purpose. That is one of the reasons. And after all, we are the largest democracy in the world. We should not be thinking in terms of what kind of quote-unquote deals we can strike with military rulers, be it in Pakistan or Myanmar or wherever. So one thing we should strongly stand by, and that is for democracy. First of all, that is a very clear thing. And in terms of whatever is playing out, that is domestic politics in Pakistan. But having said that, because it is Pakistan, we also have to look at it in terms of what role the military possibly could be playing, if at all. The thing is that, you see, and as I mentioned, whether it's actually a military-inspired opposition unity that we are witnessing in Pakistan, or is it that the opposition is coming together because they have been sidelined completely by the military? Let's face it, Imran Khan, it was a sham election. He was made the prime minister by the military. It was a completely sham election. It was rigged. So the thing is, you see, also whether it is the opposition coming together to put pressure on the military. So that's what I'm saying. There are two ways of looking at it. Having said that, what is most important, we have to look at it as Imran Khan has possibly outlived, or I would say probably outlived his utility. He was brought in as somebody as suave and English speaking who can charm the Western media, which he has done to an extent, and the policymakers and the countries to bring Pakistan out of FATF, bring in money, investment, that money that has not happened. I mean, Pakistan is very much there in FATF. It has not even been able to come out of the grey list, and it always is teetering on the brink of falling into the blacklist, only being saved by countries like rogue countries like China and all. So that is the reason. So if you look at it, is Imran Khan is of no use, and considering the kind of inflation that is there, the kind of prices, the way the prices have gone up, 500 rupees, I mean Pakistani rupees, 500 rupees a kilo for their flour. And so there have been protests have been taking place, particularly in the northern areas, in Gilgit-Baltistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and all. There are severe protests are taking place. Public anger is rising. So if Imran Khan is made the scapegoat in this, I'll not be survived. But at the same time, and if we also have to look at it in terms of what kind of a deal the opposition has been able to cut with the military. So let's put it this way, I mean, interesting times ahead for Imran Khan, if not, I don't know, about Pakistan. And when I'm saying interesting times, I'm totally using it in the Chinese sense. May you have interesting times. It's exactly that's what I'm talking about. I think it's going to be interesting times for Mr. Imran Khan, and I'll be surprised if he's able to complete his tenure.
Exactly. I think it is going to be going downhill from here. Ambassador Vora wants to make a comment.
I just wanted to say, ma'am, Mr. Niazi, if you're listening to this program, I'm sure many of your people are, your expiry date has come. Go away, sir. You haven't been able to do anything for your country or the region or for the world. Just go away, period.
Somehow I really feel sorry for the man, because at the end of the day, from a star cricketer, he has tried to garner every single activity over here to get support, do everything in his might to take this puppet prime ministership at the hands of the ISI, China. He has been running amok, and this is the end that he witnesses. That's sad for the man. And before I close this in, Dr. Waiel Awwad, when we take a look at the future of Pakistan, at the future of the next Prime Minister of Pakistan, it doesn't really surprise me. Whether it is Nawaz Sharif, or whether is it Benazir Bhutto's son, or Asif Zardari, his father, or be it Yusuf Raza Gilani, every single one of them is in all likelihood going to cut a deal with the military, forced or otherwise. And the fate of Pakistan continues to be what it is. It is a terror factory. It is a mercenary factory that is going to go ahead and kill at the drop of a hat in exchange for funds.
Well, I think if we look at the history of Pakistan, we know that not a single civilian government could continue full term in office. So the army, the shadow government, has always been the backbone of the Pakistan politics and economy. So therefore, even if the army come back to power, I believe that there will be some kind of a breakthrough with India, because that is the only way India can go forward, is talking to the army. As we remember, during during what you call the 2003 visit under Atal Bihari Vajpayee with Pervez Musharraf, and we were all listening to the army, and we know that the army have the upper hand even in the talk between India and Pakistan, the DGP at the border where they have signed, they agreed on the adhering to the ceasefire truce 2003. All this fall in the hand that there is something cooking in South Asia, and we have to understand it from the wider perspective. Whether Pakistan fall in the army's hand again, it is a sign that the army will take full control of the flow of money coming from China, and there will be always a trouble because nothing will be shared with the minorities, especially in the Baluchi region. So political instability, insurgency, and secessionist movement would take more stronger momentum in Pakistan. This is one of the issues. The second issue is Afghanistan is another issue of the vacuum will be left if the United States leave the country, and they think Pakistan still can play a major role. So I think there is something cooking in the air, and we are hoping that at least the frontier of India-Pakistan will be calming down for a bit if the army comes. Otherwise, the continuity of the revival of terrorism and extremism is very much on the cards.
All right.
On a lighter note, do you think we can offer Ms. Basu on deputation to be Prime Minister of Pakistan?
Perhaps that could be the solution for all the problems. The Panisha, perhaps, for all the problems that is being faced by our rogue country and India, and perhaps that is going to help for the united country that India was back in 1947. But thanks all for joining me on this very special broadcast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.